Hi, welcome to Movie Bus 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The story begins in a world destroyed by nuclear war, turning it into a chaotic wasteland. The land is now a desert with hardly any clean water or food, and the blood and bones of the survivors are poisoned. People have split into violent groups of marauders who don't follow any laws. In the middle of this desolate world, there's a rare green and lush area. Here, a young girl named Furiosa and her sister are picking peaches. As they're about to go home, Furiosa sees some marauders who have found their hidden spot. Furiosa tells her sister to stay quiet and hidden. She sneaks up to the marauders to sabotage their bikes so they can't leave. Mary decides to pursue the remaining marauders on a bike, bidding farewell to the blonde woman who gives her sniper rifle to help. She instructs Mary to eliminate anyone who might have seen the green oasis. During the chase, Mary snipes down another marauder. The two remaining marauders disable their fallen comrade's bike by removing its fuel tank and a tire. However, Mary cleverly swaps these parts with her own bike as the other marauders speed ahead. Meanwhile, Furiosa regains consciousness and bites through the fuel pipe on her abductor. Tow jams bike. The bike eventually stops, but Tow uses a fuel tank they had collected earlier to continue. His partner considers abandoning Furiosa to escape the pursuing Mary on her thunderous bike. Tow insists they need Furiosa as proof of their discovery for their boss, Dementis. Meanwhile, Furiosa cuts her ropes using a knife on the bike and tries to escape but gets caught again. As Tow and his partner are near their camp, Mary shoots down the partner and manages to shoot out Tow's bike tire, though he still reaches the camp safely. There, Tow claims to have found a place of abundance and promises to reveal its location only to Dementis. As Tow takes Furiosa to Dementis, she leaps off his bike and throws his whip into the wheel, causing Tow to crash and cut his neck. Another man takes Furiosa to Dementis, saying she knows of a land of abundance. Despite their questioning, Furiosa remains silent, staring at them with intense hatred. Tow is then brought in, bleeding from his neck. Dementis demands the location of the place, but Tow can't speak as he's choking on his own blood. A doctor suggests hanging Tow upside down and asking him to draw a map. Before he can, Furiosa intervenes, kicking Tow until he dies. Dementis then politely tells Furiosa to rest, promising to take her home the next day. Meanwhile, Mary disguises herself in the clothes of Tow's partner. As a sandstorm approaches, Mary sneaks into the camp and kills the two guards distracted by eating a peach Furiosa had. She spares a woman watching over Furiosa. Mary takes the peach seed and escapes with Furiosa. The spared woman alerts other guards who shoot at Mary's bike, setting it on fire. Mary removes her burning clothes and continues, but Furiosa notices Mary is bleeding from her back. Despite the sandstorm covering their tracks, Mary realizes Dementis' dogs can smell her blood. She decides to stay behind and sends Furiosa off, making her promise to navigate home by the stars. Promise me you'll find your way home. Plant this seed. Mary gives Furiosa the peach seed, instructing her to plant and protect it. Furiosa drives away, but stops when she hears gunfire. Furiosa rushes back and finds her mother tied to a dead tree and being tortured. Dementis grabs Furiosa, demanding the location of her home to save Mary, but Furiosa remains silent. Dementis forces Furiosa to watch her mother die and keeps her captive. Later, he travels the wasteland searching for a place of abundance. He captures a group trying to escape and forces them to fight each other. The 5 survivors receive bikes, all tied to a single prisoner's body. Dementis commands them to drive the bikes, brutally killing the prisoner. He gives Furiosa a teddy bear that once belonged to his children, and she watches the horrific scene unfold.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Dementis then finds an injured war boy who tells him about the Citadel, a place with abundant food and water. Dementis and his bikers soon reach the Citadel, intending to conquer it. He gives a speech, urging the people to overthrow their leader, Immortan Joe, promising ample food. In response, Joe sends a message to Dementis, offering him to choose any one of his war boys. Dementis makes Smeg choose a war boy, who then jumps off a bridge, attacking Dementis' men with an explosive spear and sacrificing himself. Immortan Joe demonstrates his warrior's loyalty and willingness to die for him. A battle ensues, with war boys attacking Dementis and his horde. In the next scene, Dementis follows a war rig to another wasteland fortress, Gastown. The war rig carries food and water in exchange for high-grade gasoline fuel. Seeing an opportunity, Dementis attacks the rig on its return journey, capturing it. He disguises some of his men as war boys using white mud and sends the rig back to Gastown. As they approach, Dementis and his crew follow, pretending to attack it. The Lord of Gastown becomes suspicious and doesn't open the gates. To convince him, Dementis starts attacking his own disguised men, shooting one and burning another with a flamethrower. The Lord falls for the act and orders the gates to open. Once inside, Dementis' men emerge from beneath the truck, kill the guards, and open the gates for the biker army to enter Gastown. Dementis then sends a piece of the Gastown Lord's finger with his ring to Immortan Joe, offering to negotiate. Joe agrees and meets with Dementis, who holds a metal arrow to the Lords, and threatens to blow up Gastown with a remote control device. Please, give me what he wants. Can't hold this much longer. Who's that? He's my daughter, Little D. Dementis lies, claiming Furiosa is his daughter. But Furiosa, who hasn't spoken since her mother's death, reveals the truth. She isn't his daughter, and Dementis killed her mother. Joe agrees to increase food and water supplies slightly, but demands to keep Furiosa and the doctor in return. Reluctantly, Dementis agrees and takes back his teddy from Furiosa. She is taken to a chamber where Immortan Joe's wives live and give birth to his heirs. Soon, one wife gives birth to a mutated, stillborn baby. Meanwhile, Rictus becomes obsessed with Furiosa's hair. Seeing an opportunity, Furiosa cuts off her hair and creates a fake wig later on. At night, Rictus sneaks into the chamber and takes Furiosa to another room. He notices star markings on her arm that she made to help herself navigate back home. Rictus asks as he plays with her hair. Furiosa runs away, leaving the wig behind. Rictus chases her to a dead end at a bridge on a cliff's edge but can't find her. His brother Scrotus asks what happened, but Rictus lies, claiming he had a bad dream. Meanwhile, Furiosa hides under the bridge, avoiding capture. In the next part, some time passes and Furiosa, disguised as a boy, starts working at the Citadel. One windy day, she helps save a truck from falling on Scrotus's orders and is promoted to a dogman. Soon after, Immortan Joe orders the construction of a new, stronger, and faster war rig. During a meeting, Rictus is about to recognize Furiosa, but she is saved as he gets distracted by Scrotus. Meanwhile, Praetorian Jack, the most experienced driver of the Fury Road, is assigned to drive the rig. As the construction nears completion, Furiosa plans her escape during one of the runs. She attaches a bike and some supplies to the underside of the rig. During the rig's first run, Furiosa hangs underneath, but things go wrong when a group of mortifiers, former allies of Dementis, ambushes the war rig. Now she then holds Jack at gunpoint, ordering him to stop and leave the rig. Jack abruptly applies the brakes, seizes her gun, and throws her off the rig. He drives away for some distance, but eventually returns, offering Furiosa a partnership since he has lost all his crew and needs a fierce warrior like Furiosa. He proposes to teach her all about road wars so that she can eventually go wherever she wishes. With no other viable option, Furiosa agrees and joins him in the following chapter. Some time has passed and the war rig is heading toward the third fortress of the Wastelands, the Bullet Farm. As they restock ammunition, the warlord Bullet Farmer expresses frustration over the fuel shortage from Gastown and seeks a meeting with Joe to address it. On their way back, Jack gives Furiosa a shotgun he's specially prepared to assist her on her journey. He informs Furiosa that her training is complete and she is free to leave, promising to support her with everything she needs. Days later, they arrive to supply Gastown, now in chaos due to Dementis' mismanagement. Dementis approaches Jack, blaming Joe for the chaos instead of taking responsibility. Back at the Citadel, the warlords are furious upon hearing about the situation. The Bullet Farmer suggests eliminating Dementis by attacking Gastown, so Joe orders Jack and Furiosa to return to the Bullet Farm and gather all possible ammunition. In the next scene, Jack tends to Furiosa's wounds from the chaos in Gastown. He asks about the markings on her arm and shares the story of losing his parents, deepening their bond. The next day, on the way to the Bullet Farm, Jack stops the convoy and orders the crew to load their bikes onto the V8 truck and board the rig. He directs Furiosa to drive the V8 while a war boy handles the truck. Though Furiosa pretends to be surprised, she knows Jack has already planned their escape since the V8 is already stocked with supplies. Arriving at Bullet Farm, they find it seemingly deserted. But Jack realizes it's an ambush when he spots one of Dementis' dogs carrying a severed foot. Initially intending to leave, Furiosa hesitates, unable to abandon Jack, so she returns to snipe at Dementis' men. At a pillar in the bullet factory, Furiosa spots Dementis, who had raided the Bullet Farm before their arrival. Meanwhile, Jack deals with pursuers of the war rig, aided by Furiosa's cover fire. And a crane topples onto Jack's rig before he can escape, leaving it dangling over a deep trench. Meanwhile, Furiosa grabs a bike and races to Jack's aid. She throws a grapple hook just as the rig collapses, rescuing Jack just in time. They rush back to the V8 and speed away, but Dementis survives the fall and angrily pursues them in his monster truck. Bursting through the Bullet Farm's gate, he leads his men in a relentless chase. Soon he catches up to the V8. Jack and Furiosa attempt to shoot him, but his truck's windshield is bulletproof. Furiosa and Jack are dragged from the wreckage. Dementis angrily declares they must pay for destroying the Bullet Farm. Furiosa and Jack hold on to each other, but Dementis says that survival is their only hope in the Wastelands, and everything else is hopeless. He further says that he will have justice and vengeance from Furiosa and Jack for destroying the Bullet Farm that was crucial for him to conquer the Citadel. With this, he orders Jack to be tied to a bike while he secures Furiosa's injured arm to his truck, forcing her to watch as Jack is dragged in circles with Dementis' dogs chasing him after a while. Dementis decides it's enough and approaches Furiosa, only to discover she has severed her own arm and escaped on a bike. As Dementis tries to pursue her in his truck, he realizes she has sabotaged it, causing its wheels to come off. The bikers give chase, but Furiosa manages to evade them. After covering some distance, her bike runs out of fuel, and she continues on foot until she collapses. Later, Furiosa awakens in a maggot farm beneath the Citadel, where she's mistaken for dead and left for the maggots. Panicked upon waking, she returns to the Citadel fortress. I am the Victorian Furiosa. Inside, the warlords are strategizing upon noticing Gastown on fire. Furiosa interrupts, revealing Dementi's plot to draw them away from the Citadel, leaving it unprotected from an attack. Immortan Joe decides to send a decoy convoy to Gastown to deceive Dementes, but Furiosa demands Joe leave Dementes to her if captured. Joe's plan succeeds as Dementes takes the bait and marches towards the Citadel with his army. The decoy convoy is recalled with signaling flares. The history man then narrates that humans have always fought each other. The chaotic 40-day war in the wasteland, fueled by grief, was just another example of this endless conflict. Meanwhile, Furiosa uses her time and cuts her hair short. In the aftermath of the war, while the Citadel stands strong, Dementes' army is significantly weakened, but Dementes himself survives. Furiosa soon requests a car to leave, but she is given an old one left that is missing a wheel. Undeterred, Furiosa takes it and drives to a battlefield littered with corpses. There, she encounters Joe's sons scavenging for a tire for their modified car. She offers her own car's tire, which they quickly take, along with her fuel amidst a debate between Scrotus and Rictus over who will take the car. Furiosa seizes the opportunity and makes her escape. Scrotus is stunned by her boldness, but the history man standing nearby describes Furiosa as the darkest of all angels. Furiosa soon catches up with Dementes and begins picking off his men with precise sniper shots. In response, Dementes disperses his group into 3 directions to evade her pursuit. Initially, Furiosa follows the route taken by Dementes' usual bike, eliminating the escorting riders. From a vantage point on a rocky hill, Furiosa observes another biker in the second direction being ambushed by raiders. Confirming he is not Dementes, left with only one option. Furiosa tracks the biker heading in the third direction. Later on, Dementes awakens in a makeshift camp as the storm subsides. Behind him, Furiosa stands on a dune. Dementes accuses her of being a freak for not killing him in his sleep and attempts to shoot her, but his gun is empty. Furiosa walks away, prompting Dementes to head in the opposite direction, with Furiosa slowly trailing him in her car. Eventually, Dementes surrenders to Furiosa. She steps out and asks if he remembers her.
Remember me?
I've always wanted to help.
Despite everything you did to her, she was magnificent.
Ah, you were there.
She demands that he return her loved ones, but Dementes asserts there's nothing he can do to help her. He predicts that she'll eventually have to kill him, quickly or slowly, but insists she'll never recover what she lost. I can't. Dementes collapses from a seizure, and Furiosa takes his teddy bear. When he wakes again, he realizes she's the little girl he found 15 years ago. He's glad she's grown to be like him, but Furiosa denies any resemblance. Dementes says that they're all living deaths haunted by sorrow, needing to make their deaths epic. The history man then tells stories of how people imagine Furiosa might have ended Dementes. But the truth is, he's alive in the depths of Citadel, where a peach tree thrives on nutrients from his decaying body. In the movie's conclusion, Furiosa divides the tree's first fruit among Joe's wives. Later, she sneaks them into a war rig to escape to the green place together, where they can bring new, untainted life into the world. And this is where the movie ends. If you enjoyed this recap, then please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, turn on the notification bell, and share the video for more awesome movie recaps. Thank you for watching.